I am Gregory, and this is Pensane. On the table, we have the pen and ink combinations from the final days of January's 31 Pens, 31 Inks, 31 Days challenge. Yes, I realize we're in the middle of February now. But you know, I loved doing this challenge. I'm proud of myself that I stuck to it and finished it, and I had a blast doing it. But it was a bit exhausting. We'll get more into that as I have a wrap up after this last round of pen and ink combinations. So to start, we have the TWSBI Swipe with TWSBI Prairie Green. Then we have the TWSBI Swipe with, oh, and I misspelled there, darn, with Krishna Chocolate Brown. And finally, the TWSBI Vac Mini with Octopus Fluids Aubergine. Yeah, so a quickie. There were just a few days left in January. So let's get to the scores. All right. So first of all, the TWSBI Swipe. This particular one, I want to say it has a medium nib on it. The color of the pen is, I believe, peregrine, which I like, but I don't know that I would want to use it all the time. And even though it's a TWSBI Swipe, and I love TWSBIs, I ended up giving it an 8, partly due to the color and partly due to the medium nib. I think I would have preferred a broad nib. And real quick, I'm going to interject here because I am guilty of complaining about this clip and talking about how ridiculous it is. But you know what? It actually works. So again, with this 31 days challenge, each pen rode in my shirt pocket for that day. So I had no issues putting these TWSBI Swipes in my shirt pocket. So even though it's super, super tight, it slipped right onto my dress shirts. So yeah, it kind of surprised me, actually. I thought, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to carry this in my shirt pocket, but it slipped right on. So there you go. So before you criticize the clip, think again, because it actually works. All right. So again, that got an 8. TWSBI Prairie Green. This ink was very disappointing, actually. First of all, it's very light. It's hard to read. It doesn't make me think of prairies at all. And it feels on the dry side. Whether or not it actually is dry, I don't know. But it feels very dry, especially in this medium nib. So that combo was just not pleasant. And truth be told, I disliked it so much, this combination, that I had emptied out the pen. And then when I went to film this video, I was like, oh wait, I emptied that one. So I just, for this, I just dipped the nib in the ink, and you know, that works too. And now I have to clean it again. So yeah, TWSBI Prairie Green gets a 7. Then we have the smoke version of the TWSBI Swipe, and I'm certain that's a broad nib there. I enjoy the broad nib much more. I honestly feel like the TWSBI Swipes should be recommended more as a beginner pen because they offer a variety of filling methods which come with the pen. You don't have to worry about buying anything separately. Everything you need comes with the pen. And it holds a large amount of ink, and they're very, very consistent pens. Yeah, so I really think these need to be recommended a lot more, especially to beginners, because they're wonderful pens. I wish they were available in a lot more colors, but slowly they're bringing out more colors. So this one works beautifully. It's a nice, smooth, broad nib. That gets a 9. And the Krishna chocolate brown, basically a brown-black ink that is just wonderful. It flows beautifully out of the nib. This pairing was really a gusher. Yeah, I did not have to worry about flow issues at all. And I love inks that pass for black, but are actually a different color, and brown is one of my favorite ink colors. So that definitely gets a 9. I love that ink so much. Doesn't necessarily make me think of chocolate though, I must say. Then we have the TWSBI Vac Mini. I'm gonna say it. I think Vac fillers are a gimmick. I get much, much better fills out of piston or even just converters. Yeah, to get a good fill on a Vac filler, you really kind of have to fiddle with it, and I think that kind of defeats the purpose of the simplicity of it. You should just be able to push down the rod, and then it sucks in the ink and it's full. You know, ideally that's what would happen, but that's not what happens. And I've tried the tips of, you know, pressing it down and trying to refill and all that, and it never gets beyond a certain point for me in this Vac Mini. That's one of the only Vac fillers I have experience with. So yeah, so that gets an 8, also because the nib could be a little bit more smooth. It's not a perfect nib, but other than that, I love it. I love the look of it and everything, but just because of that, it gets an 8. Octopus Fluids Aubergine. Oh my goodness. This might be my favorite purple ink. It's certainly one of my favorite purple inks, because, I mean, look at that. That is gorgeous. Some wonderful, wonderful shading. And it's just a very pleasant shade of purple. I really, really enjoy it. It's just gorgeous, and it comes out beautifully. Oh, so gorgeous. So that ink gets a 10. So the combined scores. So the TWSBI Swipe with TWSBI Prairie Green gets a 15. The TWSBI Swipe with Krishna Chocolate Brown gets an 18. And the TWSBI Vac Mini with Octopus Fluids Aubergine gets an 18 also. And as a reminder, when there's a tie, the winning score goes to the pen score. So in this case, it's the TWSBI Swipe with Krishna Chocolate Brown gets first place. So again, this was super, super fun. I definitely recommend you do it. It's a great way to get experience with different inks and pen combinations. Now, because I film for YouTube, it ended up being a lot of work. But I think for the average person, it would be very, very doable. For me personally, I'm probably going to do this once a year in January. And so I will be repeating this, but I need a break from it. But again, so much fun and a great way to learn about your collection of pens and inks. So I recommend it. So it's something I've been doing with these score sheets sort of after the fact is I've been going back and just writing just like a summary. And I had to do this after the fact because, I didn't want to reveal anything. And, you have all this, well, not normally this much white space, but usually you have about that much white space at the bottom. And so I figure I could at least write a little summary of that week. So, so week 1. Let's see, week 1 was January 1 to 7. No surprise here. I once said this would be my forever inked pen, and this ink. And again, the pen was the Diplomat Optimist Rings, which is definitely one of the best writers in my collection. I just wish it was a little beefier, but it is a fantastic writer, and it's the only pen and ink combo that got a perfect score, and that was a viewer recommended ink, Colorverse Brain. So that combo was amazing. So this was the overall winner of the month. There you go. I love the design of this too. It looks amazing. All right, then on to week 2 here. This was a little surprise. I didn't expect this combo to be this high in the rankings, but it was the ink pulling the weight here. So that was the Kaweco Lilliput with Kaweco Smoky Gray. Again, one of my favorite inks. Week 3. I mean, look at this. It's a no-brainer. Also, one of the best stub nibs in my collection. And that was actually the Moonman S5. So, yeah. I was happy to see a Moonman place so high. They make some really excellent pens, I must say. Then we have week 4. And so I was writing this note just today, actually. And I was like, why does it look so different from that? It looks completely different. I forgot, I switched. It originally had a broad nib, and I wasn't entirely happy with the broad nib. I think that's what kept that from being a 10. And so after this, I had switched to a medium nib. So this is written in a medium nib, whereas this is written in a broad nib. So that's the difference. So I put a note there, now has a medium nib in it. But yeah, this week was tighter than the previous ones, thanks in part to all the TWSBIs, but I'm not entirely surprised this came out on top. And that's very true, and I do have to say, when I do this again next year, I'm gonna randomize the pens rather than doing them alphabetically, simply because you get these lumps of particular brands or even particular models, and yeah, that it's not ideal. I think it'd be far more interesting if you put brands against other brands rather than a brand against itself. So, and I didn't really realize that until I got to the TWSBIs, because I had a lot of TWSBIs inked up. So yeah, but anyway, live and learn. And again, I haven't written the notes for this yet, because again, that would have spoiled the ratings there, but there's not gonna be much to sum up there. I do want to give you, because you saw the scoring, but you didn't see the actual daily pages, unless you watched the series of shorts I did. Again, I did one short a day, so I thought it would be interesting to take a look and see what I was actually writing on the pages, because, you know, obviously I'm not talking in the daily short videos. So I just picked these pages as an example, January 26 and 27. So basically I would start each entry with the time that I was doing the entry. Then we have a little bit of the weather. So we have the current weather, the high for the day, and the low for the day, and basically, you know, what the overall weather was expected to be like. So on the 26th at 7:21 a.m. it was 50 degrees with a high of 66 and a low of 47, and it was sunny. So I was using the Twisby Diamond 580 ALR with Monteverde Sweet Life Iced Cookie. Then I would write a quote. I have an app for a daily quote, so I would write that. I have an app for a word of the day, and then I am slowly, very slowly learning Spanish. So I also have an app for Spanish words of the day. Over here, of course, I forgot to mention, we have the little swatch there. Over here, I mark, because you have these hour, well, it has 12 there, which suggests a timeline. So I mark the hours that I work. And then down here you have the fork and knife. I wasn't consistent about recording the meal there, but like on the 27th I put sandwiches from Domino's, yum. They have a really killer vegetarian sandwich. Oh my goodness, it's good. Yeah, so I thought I'd just show how I was using my little Hobinichi Techo. I think through the first half of the month, I was occasionally writing just a very brief journal entry, but I kind of gave up on that. It seemed redundant, because I have, you know, a regular journal as well, so that seemed a little redundant. So I stopped doing that at some point after the 20th, I believe. Yeah, so I just thought I would show that. All right, so in summary, I think that about covers it for my January 2023 challenge of 31 pens, 31 inks, 31 days. I hope you enjoyed this, and I am considering a challenge for March. This month I decided to take off and just, you know, try and write some more of these pens dry. I cleaned out over half of the pens, and I have since inked up a few more. I think I'm sitting around 16 pens inked right now. But I am in the market for March challenge. I'm thinking of doing kind of the opposite, although not entirely. I'm considering choosing one pen from a collection and just using however many inks I want, basically. I don't want to commit to one pen, one ink. I think that would be boring, and a month of that would be complete overkill. But anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what I should do in March, but otherwise I'll probably do one pen, many inks. Yeah. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the comments and suggestions and new subscribers and everything. You guys are awesome, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.